Hey, here comes everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome. I see Ann and Barbara. Hi, Dave. Hi, Al. Hi, Andrew. This is so fun. Hi, Heather and Harlan and Jean. This is great. Hi, Trevor and Robert and Raz and Randy Hunt. How are you, sir? This is fun. I love watching everybody come in. If you haven't been here before, welcome to Sales Shots, served straight from the sales bar, which is, of course, our online platform at Factor 8. My name is Lauren Bailey, and I am joined by the one and only, what's your name?
Carrie Smith.
There it is. There it is.
Unforgettable.
Damn, boom, drop mic right there. All right, cool. So Carrie and I work together at Factor 8. I founded Factor 8 13 years ago. My name is Lauren Bailey. My friends call me LB. And Carrie has worked for us for 6 months. Is that right?
That's right.
When's the official anniversary?
March 15 next year.
Okay,
2022.
love it. So even over 6 months. And Carrie is our senior sales executive. And at a small company like mine, that means she does a little bit of everything. But Carrie is our outbound BDR SDR. Some of you have talked to her already on the phones, but she joins me every month for these sales shots because she's using these skills. Yes. Sometimes she helps me teach these skills. Today, she's kind of on your side and she's learning alongside you. Is that right, Carrie?
That is right. It's been a few minutes since I was in the account executive side of things. So
yeah. And that's where we're really using objection handling.
Yep.
Awesome. Really good. So we're going to dive in a second. I'm going to invite everybody to open up their chat panel because we want this to be as interactive as possible. If you've just joined us, welcome to Sales Shots. My name is LB. I'm joined by the one and only Carrie Smith. And together, we're going to spend 30 minutes diving into the real brass tacks of objection handling, where we see people making the biggest mistakes and how to do it better. This sales shot, if it's your first one, we do it every single month. Go on and sign up for the next 6. This one, like all of them, are brought to you by Outreach. And Carrie, I know you're a big part of that. You're a huge Outreach fan.
Gigantic Outreach fan. I could not do what I'm doing as efficiently as I do it without Outreach thinking ahead for me and doing the magical sequence. It's just, I can't say enough amazing things about Outreach. And
you guys, when we were just signing on for this and trying to get the slides and the audio, and by the way, I'm having internet issues, so this could be fun, right? Like, Carrie, here's what you do if it all dies and freezes, right? Yeah. And Carrie says, I have to be honest, multitasking is not my strongest suit. And that's why you love Outreach, because it's sort of always multitasking for you in the background.
It does it for me. Yeah. I think ahead, multitask.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Cool. All right. Are we ready? Here we go. Yes. Sales shot number 1. You know, we do shots at the bar, right? Shot number 1. It's really important that everybody understand objections are different than brush-offs, okay? They happen at different times and we handle them differently. So we're just going to talk about that really quick. I love this guy. I mean, you know, I have to use people from beer commercials, right? So this is the Dos Equis guy.
It's the most interesting man in the world.
Right? I hear they're replacing him.
Well,
you can't be in your 20s and be most interesting. You could be hot though. So maybe that'll be okay.
That's very likely.
I will reserve judgment. All right. So listen, if you're a BDR or an SDR, you get mostly brush offs. Does that make sense? Carrie, when do they happen? When does a brush off happen?
Frequently at the top of the call, but it can happen later on too, but mostly at the top of the call. I'm busy. I'm not interested. I'm taking my kids to school.
Bingo. And here you go. This is what they look like, right? They don't know you. They barely registered that you're talking. Right? I love the right side of this. I'm in a meeting. I'm on my way to the meeting. I'm just out of a meeting. I wish I was in a meeting. I should be in a meeting. I really, really love meetings. Like, they're doing anything to get you the hell off the call. Good. You cannot handle these like objections. Here are examples of objections. Oh, no, turns out we're all good. Well, in the end, it's not really my top priority. Well, you know, I can get it cheaper somewhere else. I don't have the budget. I've had a bad experience. I'm under contract. The whole right side of this slide is about price. So let's get interactive. Chat in for me. What's the number 1 objection that you get on the job? And am I right? Are they usually price objections? Here we go. I love seeing where everybody's from. We've got Vancouver and Long Island and San Antonio. This is great. We already have an expert. We handle that internally. Everybody's number 1 competitor right? Is build versus buy. Happy with the current supplier. I just want the total price. That's along the way, and that's okay, Juliet. That's good. This isn't our top priority. Internally, budget, busy, not a good time. Hey, if you're getting too busy right now, Gerald, hi, Gerald, that could be a brush off. So just watch that, okay? Happy, too busy handling COVID patients. Gene, that's a tough one, right? Like, sorry, not top priority. You need to take my sales call. Step out of the ICU and listen to my pitch. That is difficult to do. I get that loud and clear. Nice job. Everybody's getting this right now. Objections are informed. Here's how you can tell the difference, okay? If it's an objection, they know who you are and what you're selling. You've heard their situation. They've heard your solution. Their objection is related somehow to what you've presented. If you're getting a, I'm good, can't talk, can't step out of the ICU, you're almost more at a brush off, you guys. All right. That is, I don't want to listen to you right now. I'd rather do anything but be sold to right now. An objection is you've put the work in and now they're saying, let's break up. Is that making sense? Okay. Before we talk about the 4 steps that are critical to handling objections, I want to talk about an objection mindset because it's critical. Next chance, I want you to type in one word, I blank objections. Carrie, what's your word? Wait, you got to say it out loud though, Carrie. You can't mute your
I was muted.
I mute objections.
I mute them. No, I don't mind them. That's 3 words. So
it's okay. We've got.
I'm gonna get to love.
I battle with.
We're early. We're early in here. I'm gonna get to love, but I don't mind them right now.
You don't mind them. We've got some love. We've got some fear. I redirect Shelley with the smartest answer. I love that. Encourage, appreciate, welcome. A lot of you guys are with me. I heart objections. I truly do, right? We want you to learn to love them. And here's the number one way I like to describe this. Imagine that you really did just get broken up with, right? Like, I know objections feel like this guy. Like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate your product. I hate your company. I hate your service and you're ugly. Goodbye. Like, that's how it can feel. We take it personally. Okay. Like this guy, he's breaking up with somebody angrily, right? Your hair is ugly. Your mother dresses you funny. You're weird. If you're getting broken up with and yelled at, this is what it feels like. But I have to tell you, I think that's better than this guy, right? Getting ghosted is the worst. Wouldn't we all rather hear why than just get ghosted? I know I was weird when I was in the dating pool. Like everybody was like, hey, Lauren, catch the clue bus. If he's not calling you back, he's just not into you. Where I'm like, I'd like a specific list of what's going on, please. I would like some more data, please. Okay. And that's what objections are, is they're data. The key is you've got to master your reaction to it, because if it feels like a breakup, if you're picturing this guy, right, on the left, then it's pretty easy to respond negatively, to feel bad, to maybe even get defensive, right? I would much rather somebody say, you're too expensive than, oh no, it's not me, it's you. I mean, it's not you, it's me. Feeling like I may have some drama to work out with previous breakups, Carrie. This might be something stuck in, it comes out of counseling later. Yeah, exactly. That's good. We might need to dive into that. So here's another way to reframe it for those of you who don't love objections yet. Objections are roadmaps, okay? It's the data you need to fix it. Yeah, a breakup analogy really didn't work here because it's not you, it's him, right? So an objection could mean that they have a roadblock internally, or that they need more convincing, they need more information, they have a question. Something else became more important. A competitor looks better. They might just need to look better internally. There's a billion things it could mean. I'll give you an example. Too expensive, most common objection out there. Not brush off, most common objection. And too expensive can mean any one of these 5 things. In fact, it can mean an additional 5 things, right? The problem doesn't hurt enough for me to spend this money. Or your solution isn't so valuable, I want to spend this money. Or I don't mind spending the money, but I don't have that much budgeted. Or guess what? Somebody else came in with a very similar solution that's cheaper. It could even mean I've never spent this much before, right? Like, Carrie, the last time you gave or had a price objection, what did it really mean to you?
that I had one. I wasn't, for me it was, I wasn't ready.
Say
So
more
it
about
was
that.
too early, too soon. So, but
You weren't ready to spend the money yet.
yeah,
Because why?
timing. I didn't have money coming in, or
Which is totally different than something else, right?
right.
I gave
But
a lady a
it's
price objection last night because I wasn't ready to spend the money either,
mhm,
right? I had the money,
right.
but I needed the money for something else instead. I just moved into this house, right? And it's like, I would love to buy the blinds, but guess what? I have to fix all the plumbing. So something else became more, this is a true story. So it became more important, right? Whereas yours was revenue to spend and somebody else's spend versus somebody else. Okay. So you can't take it at face value. You need more data.
Yep.
Even just too expensive, right? It's different to different people. You were telling me that story about your daughter, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I have a new one about my son because like
Yeah.
$40 is too expensive for him, but different for me. But there's this dinosaur that he wanted to buy from that, like from Jurassic Park, and it opens its mouth and busts the cage off. And he decided, like, it took him a couple days, and he thought about it and saved up money at his house and his dad's house, and he went to Target and he bought the dinosaur, and he is
Oh,
so happy with his purchase.
I
Plays with it all the
love
time.
that.
It's
And,
obnoxiously loud, but he is a happy kid.
and it was really expensive for
It
him.
was very expensive for him because he doesn't have a job
Well, funnily
yet.
enough, I find a lot of sales reps do the same thing. Not like $40 dinosaur level, but we get nervous about asking for the order or fighting back a price objection because we spend it like it's our own money. Be clear. If you get nothing else out of this webinar and you've got to go, your contact, it's not their money either. It is
Yep.
so different spending company money than spending your own money.
That's
So be
good.
wise about that, right? Like be more
Mm.
expensive and be proud. All right, let's cover the 4 steps. This is critical. There are 4 steps. 90% of the world handles objections with 1 step, and that's our step 3. It's probably the least important part here. Acknowledge, ask questions. I joke that it's AA on our first 2 steps of like a something from the bar. That should be less funny, right? It's not a joke. But like AA, the steps only work if you work them. You got to include all 4 steps and it will be magic. Then you overcome it. We're going to spend the least amount of time on that. And then you check in and close. People forget that. They screw up number 1, they skip number 2, they go straight to number 3 and then forget number 4. So the most important thing here is doing all the steps. All right, let's talk about step 1, Carrie. Acknowledging or active listening. What's your go-to when you're talking to somebody so that they know you're listening to them?
I get that.
I get
That's
that.
Yeah, I get that. I said it conversationally.
Yeah, I get that. Sure.
Hmm.
All of those are active listening techniques. Okay. Use them. You can even rephrase at the end. That's acknowledging. Yeah, I get that. So what you're saying is, and you rephrase it. Don't skip this step. When we skip this step, our chances of being this guy are much, much higher, right? When someone breaks up with you and tells you you're ugly and your mother dresses you funny, you want to react like this guy. And it is so bad, man, when I hear reps do it. It is so bad. They go on the instant offensive, right? Yeah. Yeah. What's it sound like?
It's painful. Sounds like a baby, like a little little whiny kid that's not getting their way. Like,
Mom.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. What do you mean you don't want to save the money? What? How could you have another solution? Oh, so bad. So here's what we're doing in those first 2 steps, okay? Somebody brings you an objection, you're against each other, right? What we're doing is lowering the temperature and getting to the same side of the table. We actively listen, we repeat and acknowledge. Then we're going to go into questions, and we're not only sitting nicely at the table, we're going to join on the same side of the table. You don't move on to number 3 until you have this picture. Okay. You're not against each other. You're sitting together on the same side of the table. You don't necessarily have to grab their face, but you get the idea, right? You've got to move from against each other to working with each other. And you're in charge of that, sales rep. Okay. I get it. No, that totally makes sense. So what you're saying is you don't want to spend the money until you're making the money. Is that right? And then they tell you
Exactly.
more. You say, okay, well, let me ask you a couple questions about that. Now, even our questions can get defensive, folks. So let's take a look at that. Acknowledging and asking. Well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by it's too expensive? That could come off a little defensive, right? So instead, it's okay, sure, I get it. Can you tell me more? Here's another common one. How could you say we're too expensive? That is you getting broken up with, feeling butthurt, saying, Mom, stop. Instead, it'd be like, I totally get it. Okay, say more about that. Good. You honestly think you don't need this? I hear you. Okay, yeah, so what is your solution? Tell me more about that. You're their best friend. You have to get out of the sales rep role and become their best friend. And you stay here in AA, acknowledge and ask until you're on the same side of the table and until you know exactly what they mean by their objection. Remember how we just said price could mean 27 different things, and Carrie and I gave 2 examples? When they say price, you've got to ask 2, 3, 4, 5 questions without any big goal of selling anything, just seeking to understand, making it okay for them to feel poor, unappreciated, like somebody better, have a better vendor, have a cheaper vendor, have a bad boss, have a bad experience, embarrassed about the fact they have to fix their plumbing, whatever it is. Your job is to make that space safe for them to share with you all of their problems so you can be besties. Then you move to overcoming it. Is that making sense? Okay, stay in AA as long as it takes. Now we go to step 3. 3 major ways to overcome an objection: with value, with the traditional old school felt found, or with a story. So chat in for me right now if you've done this before, which one you use. And I'm going to give you an example of all 3. This part you probably have in your arsenal already. We're making it better by wrapping it with AA and the closing afterwards. So I'll give you 3 examples. If you don't have one in your arsenal, you can steal one of these. Social proof. Trevor, story and social proof is great. And I'll tell you a couple tips on making your social proof into a story, which is even better. Story usually ends up being felt found. I so get that. Yeah. Values, combinations of all of these. All right, let's look at some examples and you can steal something if you'd like. Okay, here it is with value. You know, if we implement this right, our solution will help save about 5 times this investment. And that's just in the first year. Our projections estimated at least $50,000 in savings right off the bat. And I do get it. I know it's scary, but the savings are worth it. What I've underlined here is saving and money. That means I've identified that that's the most important value to them. So if you've joined some of our other sales shots, you know that there are 6 major business values. Saving money is one of them. Who can chat in another one? See if you can get what else do business people value. Saving money or making money is one of them. So you chat in money. Time, way to go, folks. Bingo. Service is making things easier. Reputation, way to go, Daniel. Looking good, right? All of those. Avoiding risk. Thank you, Toby. Hey, nice to see you, Toby. That's great. It's late there. So guys, key in on what that value is, and you're going to use it here. You're going to hammer it. You're going to repeat it when you're overcoming. Good. The felt found, right? I get it. Honestly, at least half of my current customers have felt this way at some point, and it is scary to invest up front. But in the end, what each of them found was that the cost savings more than makes up for it, and quickly. Felt found, basic. Cool. Can you combine these? Hell yeah. All right. Story. It's a little longer, everybody who does it. I get it. It's a totally normal reaction. I'm still acknowledging here, aren't I? I'm making them feel good. We're on the same side of the table and we're besties. You know, from the beginning, you reminded me of Bob from Spokane. He was shopping for the same solution, but he picked the different model than you did. So listen, he hesitated to pull the trigger too. And he has already recouped 3/4 of his investment. That was literally just last month. So this is the same thing I did in value and felt found, but I did it with a story. So I'm going to give you a couple extra shots about stories. And by the way, we have an amazing online class about stories that just launched this month. Stories sell. We're going to guess this, okay? Facts are blank, chat it in. How many times more likely to be remembered if they're part of a story? How many times more likely facts are? Remember, 3, 10, 3, 5. Good guesses. I'm going to give you some background while you come up with the perfect answer. Let's see if anybody can nail it. Carrie, keep an eye on that for me and see if anybody gets it exactly right.
I'm watching.
Stories release dopamine in the brain, that feel-good chemical, okay? They cause a deeper sense of emotional engagement with what's being said. The mind automatically goes into curiosity mode and receptive mode versus a defensive mode. Now, are we in a defensive mode when we're in a sales process? Oh, hell yeah. We all know that, right? People don't like being sold to. Even people you've developed a great relationship with and done a really good job, you're in objection handling. They start on the opposite side of the table, okay? It's natural. So stories release and reduce defensiveness. You can kind of think of stories as a Trojan horse for delivering sales content. Do all the stories have to be exactly true? No. Can they be derived in truth? Yes. Can you make up a story from a case study and give the guy the name of Bob and say he's from Spokane? Yes. Yes, you can. Okay. If it relates to somebody it happened to, yes. All right, here we go. Did anybody get it exactly right?
I'm looking. Let me see.
I got it. I see it. Here we go. Oh, they're still coming in, Jacqueline. I love it. 22.6%. No, I'm teasing. The correct answer from Dosia and from Heather is 20 times more likely. That's huge. If you've got a stat that sells, stick it in a freaking story. All right. If we have time, I'm going to give you a couple other tips on stories from that class, but we got to remember step 4. Move on, check and close. AA, overcome, CC. AA, ask and acknowledge, overcome, check and close. Why? Because if you don't, 90% will stall out. Only 10% of customers will close themselves. You got to ask for it, okay? I know you were scared about spending the money. I just told you a great story about Bob from Spokane. Does that make sense? Shall we just go for it? Okay. If you don't have a go-to close, this is where you need to practice. So I'm stealing this from our closing class when we did closing, and we'll do it again if you missed it. But these are our recommended go-to closes. I'm giving you one example from each one. Could just be a question. So did we solve the problem? That's low confront. Could be an assumption. All right, let's get this nailed down so we can get started next week. The which pitch. All right, which one's a better fit for your budget? The timeline, working backwards to hit your goals. That means we've got to get ink on this by the end of the week. And the add-on, when you're feeling a little bit desperate. If we can sign by Friday, I guarantee we can throw in the blank. Any one of those move you forward. Don't let them stay in their doubt and their misery. They're miserable too. Overcome and help them close, check it off their list, put it to bed, and finally have the solution to this problem they've been trying to solve forever. Let's look at it all together. Listen and acknowledge, right? Or actively listen and acknowledge, AA. Question to clarify. Overcome with value, felt founder story, check in and close. Here's an example. Okay, I completely get it. You just don't have the budget until 2022. Ask a question to clarify. If this were already 2022, what would the go forward look like? What do you have to work with this year? There could be 5 or 6 questions here, guys. This is where you're thinking on your feet to root it out, to know exactly what you're solving against. Overcoming. Just last month, I helped a company in Boise, Idaho. They did a pilot in 2021 with a test group. It fit their budget. It's really helping get early buy-in. Is that something we might be able to investigate? We just moved all through 4 steps. And at no point did I sound like an angry salesperson. That's the key. All right, Carrie, anything you want to add?
I'm learning a ton. It's just awesome. I'm sitting here listening to you. She's really good at this, everybody. If we don't,
I could
if we don't know
sell.
this, I know I'm gonna buy the thing you're selling me. But backing up to where the acknowledge and oh shoot, I should
Ask.
know the AAs. Ask, acknowledge. People like to buy from people they like and trust. And if you
Right.
come in as a jerky salesperson,
Jerky jerk jerk.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't trust you, they don't like you, and why would you just don't buy from people you don't like?
100%. 100%. You know, the other part that gets messed up here is if you're not asking enough questions to really get to the root of the problem, then you're trying to overcome the wrong problem.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
that winds up in a vicious loop. Has anybody been stuck in the objection loop? Right? Where you're like, da 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 da, and you try to move on. They're like, no, it's da 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 da, right? They're like, this is the problem. You know, we had that recently buying timeshare. We were not going to buy from this guy. And he kept trying to sell us on that. I don't know what it was, like the vacation experience or the blah, 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 blah. And we let him have a loop and everything was fine. And we were still friends. And then we came back and he started getting defensive and he started answering the wrong objection again. And I'm like, you have to stop. We're not buying this because we hate your resort. It's not about the money. It's not about the time. It's not about where else I can go. It's about the fact I get 50 days at this shithole. Okay? It's not going to happen. And he keeps trying to answer the wrong objection, and it just made me angrier. So don't get stuck in the loop. Keep asking until you know. All right. Rather than give more examples, I want to do a couple stories, Sal. And if you have a question, type it in the chat. I want to help you with some of these stories, okay? A couple story components and a couple extra tips that we've got here. We've talked about the fact that stories help and they reduce defensiveness and open that mind to receive data. So what makes the difference between a felt found and a story or a case study, social proof, and a story? Here we go. Every good story has these components. There has to be a time it happened. It can be last week, last month, last quarter. It doesn't matter. Quick. There has to be a place. Just like I told you that one happened in Boise and Bob was from Spokane, it's that strange little detail that makes it a story and not a case study. There has to be a main character. It's either Bob or you or both. And there has to be a challenge. Bob's challenge was he was trying to solve A, B, and C. Our goal together was we were trying to achieve 1, 2, and 3. And what happened is your series of events and an outcome. Now, I gave really abbreviated versions of a story when I was overcoming on that slide. You can go a little deeper. Say more about the challenge. Say more about the series of event and the outcome. But probably the most important part that makes it a story are the random details. Right? I've just highlighted them here from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He used the exact same words as you. He literally tried to tip me. It was so funny at the end. He was so really struggling. Like adding the funny little things is what makes it a story. So I wish you luck on that. Angus wants to know if we're going to be sent the recording in the deck. Gosh, Amy, I know that you're here. Guys, Amy Wunderlich is our amazing marketing director. She's in charge of like all these sales shots for her brainchild. I don't know is the answer. Would you chat in the answer for us? Amy, do we send the recordings or do we just send the downloads?
Tomorrow, the recording will go out. And then Amy, can you drop that in the chat now? She put together a cheat sheet of 4-step process. There it is to overcome objections.
Amy Wunderlich, ladies and gentlemen, the woman, the myth, the legend, a couple advanced tips for you. If you're only emailing your quotes, you will lose the business. You won't even get the objection. They're just going to ghost you and go away. Always review your proposal live. Number 2, if you've been getting a lot of price objections, be careful. You're probably selling on features only. Here's 2 advanced tips for objection handling I love. Just remove it. I did that in one of the examples. If you don't know what questions to ask, remove it. Suppose you didn't have this. What would it look like? How would the situation be different? In other words, if budget weren't the problem, would you go with me? Oh, you still don't like me well enough. You still think I look funny. Okay, well then we'll just break up and I'll go away. I can't solve this one, right? If again, you don't know what to ask why. I'm so sorry to hear that you feel that way. I do want to understand your situation. May I ask why you say that? Say nice and non-threatening. It's very, very different than why. Okay. All right. You want to get better at this. It takes practice. We've given you the ideas. Nobody's going to go from this to doing it consistently, awesome, right? Sorry, Carrie, we're going to have to practice more.
I know.
So if you want to join the masterclass, it's 2 months, 3 classes on closing. So actually getting better at those go-to closes, overcoming objections, and closing for commitment, which is something you can never stop doing once you learn. It works so well. You can get $100 off because you came to this sales shot. Booyah, factor8.com/closing. Use closing to get your $100 off. Thank you, Amy Wunderlich, for chatting it in. We are spot on time. Nailed it, Carrie.
We did.
Got questions? Want to learn more? Want to bring us into your organization? Just want to hook up on LinkedIn? There you go. All our info's here. Carrie, you get the final word.
This was awesome. I learned a ton.
That's what we're here for. High five.
This is great.
Internet
Thanks.
high five. All right, everybody, have a good day. Thanks for joining us. See you next month.
Thanks.